All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome. It is the Diamond Report Live. You've reached the live broadcast yet again, 10:05 p.m. on Sunday night, June 1st. June 1st, 2025. Yes, I know, it's supposedly Pride Month, but we don't care about that around here. All we care about is that it's June. It's June. All right, let's take a look at the news. We've got some interesting things to check out and talk about. As far as tonight goes, the big brouhaha happening at this moment, actually, that's being reported by Hal Turner. This is something to keep your eye on for sure, because this one is potentially really huge. Updated 10:02 p.m. Eastern, so just a little while ago. Massive explosions rock Moscow, the capital, under attack. If you don't believe me, watch this.
Ты снимаешь? Да. Охренеть. Ой, жарко сюда. Вот зря мы сюда пошли, там осколки, блин, летят. Поэтому говорю, голову. Нифига себе.
Ой-ой-ой-ой-ой. Что происходит?
So yeah, huge attack happening. It says videos are emerging from inside Russia reporting their capital city, Moscow, is under heavy attack. Below is a brief compilation of two videos showing the same large explosion from two different angles. So that was the same explosion, two different angles that we just watched. Multiple confirmations coming in saying multiple very large explosions have been witnessed across Moscow. Plumes of smoke are rising. Sirens are blaring. Panic is spreading. Eyewitness report, it felt like an earthquake. The buildings shook. Alarms went off. People ran. Russian state media is silent, fueling speculation of a major strike or sabotage. The war may have just crossed a new red line. What this means is this Ukraine's boldest move yet, or a false flag inside Russia. I would say it's probably that former thing, wouldn't you? Putin may now claim justification for full retaliation. Moscow hasn't seen this kind of chaos since World War II until now. Sources in the Russian government tell me, meaning Hal Turner, expect a swift and merciless response. This could be the moment everything changes fast. And then an update as of just a little while ago. He says, as of 20 minutes ago, the Russian military began transmitting emergency action messages, EAMs, to their forces. So that is breaking news. Just wanted you guys to be aware of what was going on. It's on HalTurnerRadioshow.com. He's the only one talking about it. Updated 7:35 p.m. earlier tonight. Urgent, Russia's nuclear parity with the United States severely threatened by U.S. proxy Ukraine drone strikes today. There's some of the drones there. The Russian Federation has concluded that today's drone strikes, we'll look at that a little bit closer here in just a second, by the United States/NATO proxy Ukraine has severely threatened Russia's nuclear parity with the U.S. The attack by the U.S. proxy Ukraine, they keep saying that because that's exactly what it is, makes Russia more vulnerable to a U.S. nuclear attack. Response options are being considered in the Kremlin tonight. The use of Oreshnik hypersonic ballistic missiles is actively being discussed. But against whom? Tomorrow, both Russia and Ukraine are scheduled to engage in another round of peace negotiations at Istanbul, Turkey. Rumors are swirling throughout Moscow that Russia will announce its withdrawing from all peace negotiations, that this conflict will be settled on the battlefield. Another rumor is that Russia intends to give Ukraine 48 hours to unconditionally surrender. Both of these are unconfirmed rumors, according to Hal. And he is very often correct on these things, so we'll just have to keep an eye on this. He says also, word from the Russian Ministry of Defense is that Starlink made this attack possible. Elon will not like the result. So, and then it's talking about some of the different pieces of hardware that were destroyed. And then extremely sensitive covert intel, also part of this page. You would have to be a subscriber on Hal's website to read that, but you get the gist of it just from what I explained just now. This is not good. Not good at all. So what happened earlier today, Ukraine hits 4 Russian air bases with truck-launched drones from inside of Russia. 40 strategic bomber planes are said to be lost. Early morning U.S. time today, Ukraine launched a large drone attack against 4 Russian air bases. They were launched from tractor trailers deep inside Russia. The bases hit were Russia's strategic forces. 40 bomber aircrafts are reportedly destroyed. An emergency meeting of Russia's Security Council has been called. And it says Russia allegedly struck 41 Russian bombers across 4 separate air bases, some located as far as 4,400 kilometers from Ukraine's borders. According to reports, Ukraine secretly transported wooden mobile cabins into Russia, disguising FPV drones beneath their roofs. These cabins were mounted on trucks and parked in position, hidden in plain sight. When the signal was given, the roofs remotely swung open like something out of a sci-fi film. And then, dozens of drones launched straight from the trucks, flying directly into the heart of Russia's strategic air power, obliterating bombers that the Kremlin can't produce anymore due to sanctions and critical shortages. The implications are staggering. This kind of operation, conducted this deep inside Russian territory using mobile disguised platforms, has never been done before. Not at this scale, not with this level of impact. Russia just lost a significant chunk of its long-range bomber fleet, and unlike missiles, bombers aren't quickly replaceable. So just a little sidebar here. My thoughts on this are that it sounds to me like I don't think this could have possibly have been done without the U.S., satellite imagery, satellite coordinates and things like that, and probably quarterbacking the whole thing. So is this a rogue element of the military going against exactly what Trump wants? Because he wants peace. He's been very clear about it. But it doesn't sound like the deep state, the globalists, will let that happen, does it? It says implications. According to Russia's nuclear doctrine, an attack upon Russia's strategic forces crosses a red line and may justify the use of nuclear weapons. So anyways, so this is one of the truck drivers, I guess, grabbed. Here's some of the footage. Now this is just, you see the drone flying over. There's no sound here. I'll go ahead and mute it. But you can see what's going on here. First footage from Oleana. You can see the drone flying over and shooting or bombing the plane here and blowing it up. So that happened on a massive scale, apparently. Mass drone attack by Ukraine. So this is more from the same airfield, I guess. See, all those bombers have been lit up. So anyway, that's on howturnerradioshow.com as well. So that all happened earlier today. And now we have apparently large explosions happening in Moscow. So it's something to pray about for sure. Definitely keep your eye on, and let's see where it goes. But man, it sounds like the people in charge for real, and that would be not Donald Trump, are going to get us into a war, a nuclear war with Russia, which is what we've been saying on this show for a long time. I hope I'm wrong, but that is apparently where it's headed. It's where they want it to go anyways. So, and the Russians obviously know that it's the U.S. that's behind all of this. And then we'll see where it goes from there, obviously. So anyways, just wanted to bring that important news to you guys. So anyway, we have several things to look at tonight. So let's keep moving, and we'll see how much we can get through. We have needtoknow.news pulled up. This is a story that I mentioned several weeks ago, actually, and it's just now kind of making the rounds, I guess, because it's available on this site, which is a site that I often refer to, needtoknow.news. Cyborg 1.0. World's first true RoboCop has facial recognition tool and 360-degree cameras for eyes. You guys might remember I mentioned this before because I was pointing out how tall this robot is compared to the regular size Thai police officers here. Thailand's AI police Cyborg 1.0 has 360-degree cameras for eyes, allowing it to track what's going on at all times, and is linked directly to the province's command and control center. Its AI technology can also analyze CCTV and drone footage from wherever it is stationed. The cyborg's advanced facial recognition technology can identify high-risk individuals and closely track them. The cyborg is also able to detect weapons, including knives and wooden sticks. How about that? Innocent passersby can also be caught up in the sweep and searched and identified through their facial features, clothing, body type, and gender. Well, wonder what it would think about the transgender people. Probably would be confused. Like all of us are. Anyway, there's a video or two embedded here and further information. So, Police Cyborg 1.0 in Thailand. So again, we mentioned this several weeks ago now. I don't know, maybe a month ago. But I thought it was kind of interesting that it's being reported on needtoknow.news. The truth about the slaughter of white people in South Africa is the next article I pulled up. Streamer Winston Searle, known on YouTube as Serpensa, is a white man from South Africa who grew up on his father's small reptile zoo. He has lived in China and now lives in America. He sets the record straight about the genocide of white farmers in the home country. His own family fell victim to a landowner/farm attack, and there is a video link here, which is a separate article. Winston proposed that the government is involved in the farm attacks because the perpetrators sometimes use sophisticated cell phone jamming equipment. Yes, but the president of South Africa just the other day, sitting in the Oval Office, said that was not their policy and that they were innocent. The government just doesn't have that policy at all. And everyone's like, yeah, right. Except the media, they bought it. He said that white South African people are not welcome in their European countries of origin because so many generations have passed over 400 years. White people, who comprise about 8% of the population in South Africa, are not wanted. The government uses them as scapegoats for all of their problems and failures. While there is rampant crime and murder in South Africa, only whites are discriminated against for jobs, and only white land is targeted for confiscation, and only whites are called out as targets for murder. And here's the crazy president here. South Africa has many resources but suffers from poverty as entrepreneurs and investors back away from unstable societies and governments due to crime. Yeah, so it is an interesting situation going on over in South Africa. I was over there in 2008 and really enjoyed my time there, but that was during a time where this kind of thing really wasn't going on, or if it was on a very small scale. So it's a beautiful country, but man, the people that are running it are insane. All right, next article on needtoknow.news. Europe is silencing its citizens one jail sentence at a time, something that we have been reporting about a lot on this show. Germany's expansive hate speech and defamation laws were being used ahead of the parliamentary elections to target political opponents, mostly the anti-immigration AfD party. Section 188 of the German Criminal Code has led to police searches and criminal penalties for citizens who insult politicians online. Yeah, and just say anything bad about or anything that they disagree with as far as the infestation of people from other countries. In the UK, police are arresting over 30 people per day for offensive posts on social media platforms. Lucy Connolly, a middle-aged mother and influencer in the UK, reacted to this person, Axel Rudakubana's stabbing and killing 3 young girls at a dance workshop by posting emotional comments on social media that included calling for mass deportation, and setting fire to the, quote, migrant hotels full of those BAS-tards. So she then deleted her comment in less than 4 hours and admitted in court that she had made a mistake in her choice of words, and yet was found guilty of inciting racial hatred and was sentenced to 31 months in prison for that post that she deleted after 4 hours. Wow. A wit in the comments section wrote that Germany is replacing imaginary fascism with actual fascism. Yeah, exactly. Anyway, that's what's going on over in Europe, at least in part. And we'll continue reporting on it, but I don't think it's going to change. They are quickly losing their ability to have any sort of speech over there at all. Then this one is kind of a crazy one. McDonald's is leaving Chicago because of crime. Downtown Chicago used to be full of McDonald's restaurants and a gathering place for young people, but something is shutting them down. Some McDonald's restaurants, like the one in Brooklyn, New York, bars young people under the age of 20 from entering the establishment without a parent or identification. Instead, orders can be placed and paid for using cell phones. Criminal justice reform laws passed by leftist governments allow petty crime without punishment. Assault has also become a misdemeanor crime in many areas, and it's on the rise. Violent crime has increased. So McDonald's is leaving town. You know it's bad when McDonald's leaves. Wow. Leaving Chicago. So that is pretty interesting for sure. Progress report on DARPA and high-resolution neural interfaces. Starting this article with the official press release from DARPA in 2018, depicting its intent to leverage NBIC technologies since roughly 2000 to create non-invasive techniques with two-way links between your brain and the machine. The 2025 update below is from ChatGPT Scholar, which gives detailed references of where it got information for its report. DARPA's initial focus is on military applications, but it also fuels civilian uses. Much of this is predicated on sophisticated AI. And it's saying some military applications, cognitive command and control, silent communication systems, and enhanced situational awareness. This has already unleashed a plethora of ethical and legal debates about consent, targeting ethics, and the legal status of cognitively enhanced personnel under international humanitarian law. Don't need any stinking consent, this says. Civilian applications. Recently, products have been appearing on social media and other media that promote consumer-grade versus military-grade neural wearables that take the form of a headset, a non-invasive wearable. The promises include boosting attention and reducing stress using EEG processing. So this is some of the devices they're talking about here. So very strange. Trump picks Peter Thiel's Palantir to hoover up data on Americans. Arch technocrat Peter Thiel's new Palantir contracts with the federal government, they exceed $1.3 billion just since the inauguration. Not bad for helping Trump get elected in the first place. Vice President Vance is also tied to Peter Thiel as a protege who got his start in politics with Thiel's funding. In any language, this is called cashing in, payback, or ka-ching. This is the surveillance state at its worst and is being ushered in by Republican president. So again, Patrick Wood article here. Trump administration has expanded Palantir's work with the government, spreading the company's technology, which could easily merge data on Americans throughout agencies. In March, Trump signed an executive order calling for the federal government to share data across agencies, raising questions over whether he might compile a master list of personal information on Americans that could give him untold surveillance power. Yes, him and any other future presidents, right? Trump has not publicly talked about the effort since, but behind the scenes, officials have quietly put technological building blocks in place to enable his plan. In particular, they have turned to one company, Palantir, the data analysis and technology firm. Trump administration has expanded Palantir's work across federal government. In recent months, the company has received more than $113 million in federal government spending since Trump took office, according to public records, including additional funds from existing contracts, as well as new contracts with the Department of Homeland Security and the Pentagon. This does not include a $795 million contract that the Department of Defense awarded the company last week, which has not been spent yet. So it just goes on. So Palantir, back in the news again. This is something that doesn't seem to go away, does it? Anyways, you're going to be potentially using it to vacuum up all of our data and merge it with other data across the government. That does not sound good. Not at all. Body language expert calls BS, so Barbra Streisand or Bruce Springsteen, on Macron's latest excuse for the wife slap. You guys have all seen it, I'm sure. Look at his face. It was a slap heard around the world. Well, more of a shove, to be exact. Either way, the internet lit up when footage surfaced of France's first lady, I'd put that in quotes, aggressively pushing her husband's face on the tarmac in Vietnam. As they prepared to deplane, cameras caught her hands pressing against Macron's face in a moment so bizarre, many people thought it had to be AI. But it wasn't. It was very real. Real enough that Macron responded, brushing it off as just a joke. So that's all there was to it. It really wasn't that much, but she's pushing his face away. So says one person not buying the joke excuse, a body language expert who says Macron's reaction showed that he was actually fuming. So they must have gotten in a little spat there about who's going to wear the pants or something. I don't know. But you can see his clenched fist here. Close up of the white knuckles. His jaw was clenched too. So, you know, Macron said that they were just horsing around and having fun, but it doesn't really look it, does it? She's not too happy either. So anyway, it's one of those caught on camera type moments, just like the whole cocaine thing the other day when they were on the train and Macron grabs the bag of cocaine, it looked like a bag of cocaine off the table and stuffs it in his, he holds it in his hand and then he puts it in his pocket. So, wow. Yeah, oh wow, please show us the video. Well, there you go. Yeah, I didn't know if you guys hadn't seen that before or not, but pretty wild. And Trump had some interesting comments on that whole thing too. We'll get to that here in a few minutes. But yeah, the body language expert says that that's not exactly true what we're being told. Pretty interesting. So this is a follow-up on the whole Jamie White murder. Jamie White was an InfoWars reporter who was quite literally murdered a couple months ago at his apartment in the Austin, Texas area. Breaking InfoWars reporter Jamie White was killed in a racially motivated attack, the police say. Murder suspect created a rap song about killing Jamie. And part of the lyric was, white boy came outside, hit his DAMN, you know what, with a 9. So this was the other guy that was arrested a while back now, several days back. So 2 of these, I'm not sure how many, I want to say maybe 4 people were arrested. The murder suspect rapped about killing the victim. So that was this kid here. And I think they were both about 17. Yeah, your white rage is here. It needs to be here. So anyway, just a little follow-up there. And Alex has reported on that as well at length. So anyway, just wanted to bring that to your attention. This video clip here is about 8 minutes. It's him going through the details of what happened and the people that were arrested and so forth. I think there were 4 total that were arrested. Anyway, it's good that they're catching up with those guys. And then for you guys who are poppy drinkers, you know who you are. I've had 1 or 2. I can't say I love it, but I'm not a huge fan. Poppy prebiotic soda brand faces class action lawsuit over gut health claims. So I read this and I'm like, uh-oh, it's starting to make people sick or something, or what's it doing? Eating people's guts away? I don't know. But no, it's not really quite that bad. Says, just kind of to sum it up here, even if a consumer were to do this, Poppy's high sugar content would offset most, if not all, of the purported gut health benefits. So they advertise it as having all of this wonderful fiber and gut health. It's listed on the website, but also right on the can. But it's saying that it's not exactly the way it is being portrayed, and that you would have to, according to this consumer here, one would need to drink more than 4 of those sodas in a day to realize any potential health benefits from its prebiotic fiber. That's what they're really pushing here. The lawsuit claims adding 1 would need to drink at least that many daily for 21 consecutive days to even potentially see the results. So you got to drink 4 of them a day, I guess, for 21 days. So that gets pretty expensive. The document adds that even if a consumer were to do this, Poppy's high sugar content would offset most, if not all, of the purported gut health benefits. So yeah, you're just replacing the potential goodness of the fiber with more sugar. So that's not good. Poppy website states that each can of its soda has at most 5 grams of sugar and contains agave inulin and apple cider vinegar, which are said to work as both a prebiotic and probiotic. So there you go. So it's not exactly what it's being advertised as, so not really too much of a shocker there, but if you guys happen to drink that stuff or know people who do, you might want to point that out. That's on Yahoo, believe it or not. And then this one I thought was kind of interesting, just another Peter Thiel article, but this one's more about Peter Thiel's visions of apocalypse. Is AI the Antichrist? So I hadn't really pre-read this or anything. I just thought I would take a look at this article and see what it's even talking about. Peter Thiel is a big thinker, and these days he's been thinking about doomsday. In a series of 4 lectures he's given 3 times at Oxford, Harvard, and University of Austin, he's tried to understand human history, and particularly modernity, within the framework of biblical prophecies of the end of days. Peter Thiel believes that the Antichrist, whose identity is uncertain, I would disagree. Is it a person, a system, a global tyranny, ? Is not just a medieval fantasy. His free-ranging lectures, moving rapidly between disparate texts like Gulliver's Travels and also Watchmen, and topics like sacred violence, high-velocity global financial systems, defy easy summary, but their leading themes include the Antichrist's relationship to Armageddon and the roles of technology and empire in the Antichrist's rise. It's an ambitious, thought-provoking attempt to weave from seemingly unrelated strands of meaning a theological, anthropological, historical narrative that aims to make sense of the whole human experience. So that's pretty wild. I thought that was kind of interesting that Peter Thiel is interested in end of days and Book of Revelation type stuff. Pretty weird. Anyway, maybe he will find the Lord. But I do personally think that the Antichrist will be a human. And there is an Antichrist system too. I mean, it's kind of both. I don't know that it would necessarily be AI per se, but I think it's going to be a human, and I do think it's going to be a system that's already in place. We're seeing it rolled out, and before long, we won't be able to buy or sell without the mark. That's the way I see it headed, and interesting that Peter Thiel is sort of going down that rabbit trail as well. That's on a website called unheard.com. All right, and then this one that was not really that surprising. This is from a website called Middle East Eye. A call to burn Gaza by Israeli politician did not violate ethics rules, the Knesset says. Progressive MK Ofer Kassif has filed a complaint against the Likud's Nissim Vaturi. So he's the guy that said these words, I guess, after repeated calls to destroy the besieged Palestinian territory. So this is very interesting. An ethics committee of the Israeli parliament has rejected a complaint against an Israeli politician who called to burn Gaza, arguing that he was exercising his free speech. Nissim Vaturi made the call repeatedly after the October 7, 2023 attack by Hamas-led Palestinian fighters in southern Israel, yes, which was also a stand-down, as we've talked about many, many times on this show. A Knesset committee said it examined the remarks and believes they are of political nature and accurately reflect the Knesset members' ideology. So isn't that nice? Meaning, it's okay when he does it. So do you think that if he would have, or if anyone else would have stood up and said that Israel should burn, do you think that they would let that person go? If, like, someone stood up and just randomly said that, or you think that that person would probably already be in jail somewhere and being destroyed in the media? Seems to me like that would probably be the case. So anyway, that's one of those cases where it's okay when they do it, apparently. Yeah, and there was a recent U.S. politician who was just on, I think it was Fox, Randy Fine. You guys probably remember me mentioning him before. He was on a Fox show recently just saying a day or two ago that he believed that Gaza needs to be nuked. He's calling for Gaza to be nuked now. So that's where we're at. Yes, it's very sad to see so much hatred in the world. Yes, that's exactly right. Anyway, that's on middleeasti.net, article I found earlier. And then this one, a little closer to home here, maybe, at least for me. Nashville mayor accused of potentially aiding and abetting illegal immigration. Now, this guy here is actually one of the good guys or better guys. This is Rep. Andy Ogles. And this is the guy in question here, the pinhead mayor of Nashville. Rep. Andy Ogles, this guy, announced on Monday that 2 House committees will be probing Nashville, Tennessee Mayor Freddie O'Connell, this guy, over the potential for aiding and abetting illegal immigration. At a Memorial Day press conference, Ogles said, "We've heard it. The individuals that the mayor is standing with are murderers, rapists, drug traffickers, sexual predators, child traffickers, and the list goes on." In other words, he's a good Democrat. Which is why I will always stand on the rule of law with ICE. And I don't just stand with ICE, I'll stand in front of ICE because we the people have had enough. I choose my community, my state, and my family over this type of nonsense, the Republican lawmaker continued. Which is why, due to the remarks of Freddie O'Connell, again, this guy, and the potential for aiding and abetting illegal immigration, the Homeland Security and Judiciary Committees will be conducting an investigation into the mayor of Nashville, his conduct, and whether or not federal dollars have been used in criminal enterprise. So good for him. We'll see what transpires here. If you're helping violent gangs destroy Tennessee by obstructing ICE, you belong behind bars. Yeah, that would be a new one, to put the mayor behind bars. I wouldn't be opposed to that, actually. Might teach him a lesson. But I won't hold my breath, as they say. And then this is actually kind of continuation here of same story. Continuation. Nashville mayor faces scrutiny after releasing ICE information and federal agents' names. So this is kind of a little bit more of the story as to what happened. Basically, the mayor of Nashville doxed these ICE personnel. So it says Fox 17 Nashville discovered Nashville Mayor O'Connell has made information on the ICE interactions and emergency services departments like the Metro Nashville Police Department public, which includes federal immigration authorities' names. As a Tennessee congressman who calls for 2 federal committees to investigate Nashville's mayor aiding and abetting illegal immigration. So hopefully this, maybe something will happen here. I think Andy is one of those guys that, at least in my opinion, tries to get things done. So, we'll see where it goes, I guess. But pretty wild. Yeah, he just mistakenly let their names escape as far as some of these ICE people. And then when you do that, then obviously that puts their lives at risk, let alone their ability to do their job. So anyway, more here on this Fox 17 article as well. Pretty wild. Now, a couple of articles that I pulled up here that are New York Post articles. To me, both of these kind of go together in a way, even though they're not really related. But it definitely shows us that if any time you could call the end times, this is probably it. So this is just 2 of those type of headlines. Mom who sold her own daughter, age 6, so her eyes and skin could be cut out and used for, quote, medicine, gets life in prison. Could you imagine? A mom who sold her 6-year-old daughter so her skin and eyes could be cut out and used by a traditional healer has been sentenced to life in prison in South Africa. So it wasn't the U.S., but still. Raquel Kelly Smith, her boyfriend, and their friend were all handed life sentences more than a year after the mysterious disappearance of Jocelyn Smith from outside her home near Cape Town. When Jocelyn first disappeared, her mother was a figure of sympathy, and pictures of the girl's striking green eyes, pigtails, and broad smile were shared across the country. So here's the little girl who has disappeared. Smith showed no emotion as her sentence was handed down, bringing to an end an 8-week trial that had to be moved to a local stadium so horrified members of the community could bear witness. She admitted to selling her daughter to a traditional healer, or Sangoma, for, get this, 20,000 Rand, which is about $1,100, and said the girl was desired for her eyes and skin, a witness told the court. Jocelyn's body still has not been found despite an extensive nationwide search since she went missing in February 2024. So this might be her, I don't know. Kelly Smith arrives for sentencing, yeah. The mother of Jocelyn Smith. There she is there. Wow, I mean, if that does not tell you that we are living in the end times, this type of stuff, that is so crazy and so sad. Look at that face. Man. So sick. And then here's another one too, just as bad. Pure evil. Transgender woman, which means a guy, who fatally stabbed postal worker inside a New York City deli, was sentenced to 15 years. Disgusting excuse for a human being. So this is him here. Jaya Cruz, sentenced to 15 years in prison for the fatal stabbing of a postal worker in a deli. Knife-wielding transgender woman, which means a guy, who viciously stabbed a postal worker to death in a Harlem deli earlier this year, was sentenced on Thursday to 15 years behind bars. 15 years. That's it. Think they went easier on him because he was a transgender? I would think so. At least it looks like it. It is New York, after all. Jaya Cruz, 24, who ruthlessly killed a USPS worker named Ray Hodges after an argument in January, was given the sentence after striking a plea deal, infuriating relatives of Hodges at the Manhattan court hearing who wanted more time. So Ray Hodges, the guy who got killed, his family was very upset because they only gave this guy 15 years for killing him, their family member. This is pure evil. It's a disgusting excuse for a human being, and you allowed a second chance. The mother of Hodges' children, whose name wasn't immediately clear, told Judge Gregory Caro. So, man, in April, Cruz pled guilty to first-degree manslaughter in the January 2nd slaying of Hodges, 36-year-old father of two, at Joe's Deli Grocery. Oh, here's Ray Hodges right here. He's the postal worker, father of two. So I wonder what that was even about. That's so strange. The guy was maybe just there delivering the mail? Got into an argument with him? I don't know. Anyway, there's more details on this article. Another sick one, huh? This is a very strange world we are in, huh? Definitely not our home. All right. Look at a couple of potential natural disaster type things. So we'll continue on with the fun, I guess. If the gigantic supervolcano in Italy erupts in 2025, it could instantly cause a devastating worldwide famine. So if we don't have nuclear war, maybe this will happen. Yeah. So this is actually from a website called America First Report, but it is from End of the American Dream, which is Michael Snyder's blog and website. We are potentially just one eruption away from a horrifying global famine that could kill millions. It takes an absolutely massive amount of dust and ash to create the conditions that are necessary for a volcanic winter, and most volcanoes are simply not capable of releasing that much material. But when a supervolcano erupts, that is a completely different story. Scientists tell us that there are over 20 supervolcanoes on Earth, but there hasn't been a major eruption of any of them in our lifetimes. Unfortunately, seismic activity is on the rise all over the globe, and we are being warned that the Campi Flegrei supervolcano in Italy is, quote, awakening. So that's the one that they're talking about here. If a major eruption of the Campi Flegrei supervolcano was coming, we would expect to see a lot of earthquake activity, because earthquake activity is a sign that pressure inside the volcano is building up. So, has there been a lot of earthquake activity at the Campi Flegrei supervolcano lately? Yes, there has. In fact, it's being reported that there have been 6,000 earthquakes within the past 6 months, and the crater at Solfatara has been spewing up to 5,000 tons of gas a day. And then, let's see here. Person tells about visiting the area. The writer of this article. Let's see. Scientists also telling us that the layers of the large cauldron-like crater that Campi Flegrei is in are weakening. On top of everything else, magma inside the supervolcano has been rising, and it is now only a few miles from the surface. Miles. It says, if pressure continues to build, it could trigger an eruption with little warning, especially with all the recent quakes and gas releases. Read that last sentence again. I don't like the sound of it at all, which, talking about the pressure. If there was a full-blown eruption of the Campi Flegrei supervolcano, it wouldn't just affect Europe. Vast amounts of material would be released into the atmosphere, and we are being told that this could cause years of cooler temperatures that would threaten food supplies worldwide. Most of us have a hard time imagining what a volcanic winter would be like because we have never experienced one. But there was a volcanic winter in 536 AD. Wikipedia says that resulted in millions of people dying. So anyway, it goes on here quite a bit to this article. So, something to think about. Yeah, we already know that, but I was not aware that that particular volcano has been kind of activated a little bit, at least to some degree. Now, I wanted to mention this too. This is a website that I've mentioned on and off over the, months and years that we've done this show, and I thought I would mention it in case you guys wanted to check out some of the new articles on this site. It's a pretty good site. Yowza is called, yowza.com, Your Own World USA. It's Marshall Masters' website. And then the main article I pulled up here was Signs 100, Nemesis Mini Constellation Closing with Earth. Now, this is going into the whole Planet X thing. So that's what this is about, and it's all of the most recent data that they have collected on that. So the data for April 2025 continues to show that Nemesis Mini Constellation is well into the aphelion leg of its 3,600-year lunar orbit around the sun and is slowly closing with Earth. We call this new reporting cycle the plunge, in which we see an uptick in fireballs and Nemesis observations on social media. As this series has reached its century mark, we chose this installment to present a series of illustrations to help our readers understand why the 2 and 3 sun-in-the-sky observations being reported seem to follow odd patterns. Many ask about observation videos on social media. Why 2? Why 3? Why 4? Why are they constantly changing? Now you will have your answer. This is actually something that I have wondered myself. And then it says, with this in mind, let's review the reporting data for April 2025. After that, I will present a series of illustrations to help folks visualize why Nemesis observations are seldom the same. So, yeah, the mini constellation is it's what he talks about here. Nemesis is the brown dwarf sun that is part of the mini constellation. So Planet X isn't just a planet, it's actually a small constellation moving through our own solar system. So that's the idea here. And now the next piece of this article is talking about April 2025 fireballs. Fireballs are reported worldwide. The American Meteor Society is the primary source for the North American data set. So it's talking about fireballs for April of 2025 continues the new uptick pattern and ties for first place with 2023. This uptick is statistically significant. It's commonplace for the multi-state and country fireballs to be reported as huge events because a huge event occurs when 100 or more eyewitness observers report it. We call them plungers because they have a steep trajectory. So a fireball comes down and at least 100 eyewitnesses, basically. While March returned to the baseline, April 2025 dropped significantly from previous years, although it is common to see these levels at this time of year. The monthly total fireballs are the most critical category in the data set, and April 2025 came in at second place for this data set. So 2025 in the green here is right here, and it's down a little bit from what it was at in, really January and March. So anyway, all that to say that they're talking about the fireballs, how that plays into the whole thing, and then earthquakes as well. And let's see, Nemesis mini constellation observations. The illustrations below are the result of our Nemesis research over the years. Please note that we do not have the considerable resources of our government. They know the actual numbers with the kind of precision that comes with billions of dollars worth of research. Instead, all we've got here at Yowza are great volunteers like J.P. Jones, who helped me, meaning Marshall Masters, with these illustrations and social media, common sense, and outstanding support and tips from our followers. Ergo, one could loosely say our analysis is good enough for government work, but is close enough to give you a way to understand why these multiple object observations are so inconsistent in appearance. So anyway, talking about how some people, when they are looking at the sun, depending on where they are on the planet, sometimes they might see a second sun or even a third sun, and how that works. So I won't go into the deep parts of this article, but you guys can certainly look at it if you want. There's lots of illustrations and stuff here. I thought that was kind of cool. Not kind of a good article. And there's a good interview with him as well. If you go to the homepage, I was just on the article page there, but if you go to right here, Nemesis 2030 Disaster Final Countdown, and then this one here too, Marshall with Michael Deacon. There's some interviews. So if you want to hear more about it, you want to check into it a little bit more. I think he does really good work. I've been following his work off and on for quite a long time, quite a few years. So anyway, that's on Yowza.com, YOWUSA. All right, and then let's keep moving with the news here. We've got this one. More than 130 retired judges urged federal court to drop the charges against the Wisconsin judge, Hannah Dugan. Remember her, not this lady, but this lady here. Bipartisan group, I'm sure, of more than 130 retired judges filed a brief on Friday urging the federal court to drop charges against the Wisconsin judge, Hannah Dugan, saying her arrest undermines centuries of precedent on judicial immunity. Yeah, she's the one who was literally helping the illegals escape from the police. Or ICE, I guess it was. Dugan, a Milwaukee County Circuit Court judge, was arrested April 25th by FBI agents on federal allegations that she prevented the arrest of a man by immigration authorities, meaning ICE, during a federal law enforcement operation at her courthouse. The man was arrested and detained at an immigration detention center. Yeah, and then now she was being prosecuted. So the whole point of this here is not really that so much as all of these retired judges are trying to get her off the hook. They have written this letter to the federal court saying to basically drop the charges against Hannah Dugan. So I thought that was pretty interesting. They're protecting their own, aren't they? That's on CBS News. CBS Snooze. All right, and we mentioned this earlier. Pride 2025 is broken and broke. It's like, that's good news. Once again, the left took something many Americans thought they could get behind, basic gay rights, well, depends on who you ask, and shoved it so far down everyone's throats that we all choked on it. What started as we just want to be treated equally turned into celebrate my identity or we'll ruin your life. Yeah, and also, we're going to take your kids. It's kind of come to that as well. And now the backlash is here, and it is real. Across the country, parents are fed up with the rainbow flags flying over their kids' schools while American flags get sidelined. State legislatures are stepping in with, quote, flag bills. They're also fed up with the nonstop indoctrination being pushed on their kids. And we know we've seen it all before. Thought that was kind of interesting, but that's on revolver.news, that article. And speaking of which, this is, I mentioned this earlier. Next month is Pride Month, and then Robin gets slapped in the face. Next month is June. Yeah. Way to go, Batman. All right, and then this one. Democrat New York Rep Jerry Nadler. You know him. He's another Jabba the Hutt type of wannabe person. Jerry Nadler's staffer has been detained for harboring rioters. President Trump and the Department of Homeland Security are sowing chaos in our communities using intimidating tactics against both citizens and non-citizens in a reckless and dangerous manner. So says Jerry Nadler. And if he is saying those words, obviously Trump must be doing the right thing. So here's the video footage. Staffer of Jerry Nadler's is getting detained for allegedly harboring rioters.
No, she did not. That is not what happened.
That is not what happened. Okay?
What?
Hold on a second.
Give me your contact information right
No,
now.
I'm going to give you time to speak to you.
Hey.
That's what I'm
I'll
going to
speak
do.
to you.
We got you.
No.
We got you.
You're
okay.
I don't have to.
You're okay. You're okay. You're gonna be okay.
I'm a federal officer. We're here checking on something. We have the right to check. I'm giving you. I'm not resisting. Stop resisting. You harboring rioters in the office. So there's not a problem. Let's walk inside. Let's walk in.
For what?
Let me see what's in here.
Let's go.
Let's go. Come on.
You need to stay.
Hold it there.
Away from me.
Okay. So, pretty interesting. One agent in the video can be heard saying, "We have the right to check. You are harboring rioters in the office." The staff eventually allowed the officers to go back into the back room following the tense exchange. Homeland Security officials said the officers were conducting a security check after reports of suspicious activity related to nearby demonstrations. So yeah, they were protecting the rioters apparently in Jerry Nadler's office. So, but obviously he thinks that's fine when he does it, I guess. So, or at least his staffers certainly do. That's on the Post Millennial. Thought that one was kind of a strange one. Now, let's see here. I mentioned Bongino last week. So this is kind of, I guess, a follow-up here. I'm not sure what this one's about, so I thought we would check it out. Headline USA, Bongino claims FBI has video evidence that Epstein killed himself. That's what he's saying. I'm not so sure that he's actually seen it. So let's see what this says. Bongino's claim runs counter to the DOJ issued release in 2023, which showed that only 2 cameras in Epstein's housing unit were recording, and that those cameras had numerous blind spots. FBI Deputy Director Bongino has claimed that the Bureau has video proving that deceased multimillionaire sex trafficker Epstein killed himself. However, the DOJ Inspector General has already released a report stating that no such video footage exists. So I wonder what's true here. There was only 1 camera recording on Epstein's floor, and this is what it showed. And then this is the clip from Bongino. Let's see what he says.
I'm just telling you what we see in the file. I just want to be crystal clear on this. I am not asking anyone to believe me. I'm telling you what's there and what isn't. Right. There is nothing in the file at this point on the Epstein case, and there's going to be a disclosure on this coming shortly. We are working through there is video. That is something the public does
There's
not
video of him killing himself.
No, not the actual act, but the entire MCC Bay. It was only one camera. There's video that when you look at the video, and we will release, that's what's taken a while on this. We are working on cleaning it up to make sure you have an enhanced, and we're going to give the original so you don't think there were any shenanigans. You're going to see there's no one there but him.
Right.
There's just nobody there. So I say to people all the time, if you have a tip, let us know. But there's no DNA, there's no audio, there's no fingerprints, there's no suspects, there's no accomplices, there's no tips, there is nothing. If you have it, I'm happy to see it. There's video clear as day. He's the only person in there and the only person coming out. You can see it.
Okay, well, thanks for clearing that up for us, Dan. Yeah, clear as mud, as they used to say. Bongino made his implausible claim on an interview with Fox and Friends that aired Thursday. So, anyway, I don't know. I tend to not believe him on this. Sure, many of you guys probably are thinking the same thing. All right, how about that? I thought that was a pretty good report from Greg Reese there, and it's called Technocracy and the Internet of Bodies was the name of that one. I thought that was pretty interesting, and some really valid points there as well. So, and, you know, if AI really takes over like they say that it will we even have jobs? I tend to think that we probably still will have jobs. Things will just be different. It'll just change. So I don't know. I'm not so sure that that's going to happen at all, but I can see where some jobs would certainly be affected pretty quickly and pretty easily by AI. All right. So anyway, we covered the Headline USA Bongino claim. So that's an interesting one. I don't know that we'll ever really know the truth on that one, do you? All right, information liberation, just some of the headlines. I tend to agree with this one. Representative Thomas Massey says, we should end all U.S. military aid to Israel now. And that would be because he's not on AIPAC's payroll. That's why he can say that. Kentucky Congressman Massey called for an end to all U.S. military aid to Israel on Thursday, insisting nothing can justify the number of civilian casualties, tens of thousands of women and children, inflicted by Israel in Gaza in the last 2 years. Yeah, some people are saying hundreds of thousands, but I think the answer is we don't know. No one knows. All right, we mentioned the murder and the rapper here on the Jamie White situation. 3 new arrests and killing of InfoWars journalist Jamie White. So that was another article with further information. And then Facebook/Instagram restore old censorship regime following shooting of 2 Israeli embassy aides. So it looks like some of the censorship is kicked back in, at least as far as that goes. 2 pro-Israel voices among dozens of NSC officials dismissed in deep state purge. Yeah, and then I think some of these others we mentioned last week as well. So anyway, that's on informationliberation.com. And then I thought this one was kind of sad. You guys may remember this guy, Bernard Kerik. I remembered his face, but not necessarily his name. New York Police Department chief during 9/11 dies. Former New York City Police Commissioner and security advisor Bernard Kerik died on Thursday at the age of 69. He died following a private battle with an illness. So it doesn't really say what it was, but he was there exposed to everything that happened during 9/11 and all the dustification and the potential mini nuke that was used, and no one really knows exactly what happened, doesn't seem like, but lots of folks that were at Ground Zero have now since passed on from cancer. A lot of them died with cancer, various forms. So anyway, thought I would mention that this guy's passed away. There's a little bit of background about who he was and what he did after his time there in 9/11. So anyway, made the jump to hyperspace, as we say. Thought this one was kind of interesting. Dallas teen wins grand prize at the National Spelling Bee. He's a little excited, as he should be. 13-year-old from Dallas was the winner of the 100th Scripps National Spelling Bee. Faizan Zaki on Thursday took the top prize after correctly spelling the word Let me see if I can pronounce it. Éclaircissement. According to Scripps, the French word is a term referring to the clearing up of something obscure. So éclaircissement. Éclaircissement, I guess is how you say it, maybe. I don't know. Faison almost didn't win after stumbling on the word commelina, which describes a class of flowers. Commelina. According to a report by Associated Press, starting with K-A-M instead of C-O-M, he appeared to instantly recognize where he went wrong. This mistake, made in the 8th round of the competition, came after the other 2 contestants also failed to spell their words correctly. So I guess he got to start over? I don't know. I'm not sure how it works. As Faison finished spelling the winning word, he fell to the ground and was showered with applause and confetti. So, wow. Let's see what he won here. Faison has been spelling for around half of his life. He started at age 7 as a wild card entry before qualifying again in 2023 and 4 when he came in second, according to his biography on the Scripps website, that earned him a $25,000 prize. As a winner of this year's Spelling Bee, he earned a grand prize of $50,000. Wow. As well as $2,500 from Merriam-Webster and $1,000 from Scholastic. So anyway, pretty good haul by that young man. Congratulations to him. So there's a little bit of good news there. All right. Well, we go from the good news in the spelling bees to a man throwing Molotov cocktails at a pro-Israeli activist in Colorado. So this happened earlier today. FBI is treating the incident in Boulder as a terrorist attack. Do you think? Yeah, I think that's exactly what it was. So it just says a man here. I'm looking to see if it says what the man's name is. Doesn't say here. But the next article, we'll come back to this, but the Gateway Pundit has a similar article with the guy's name. Breaking, targeted terror attack against Israeli demonstrators in Colorado. Suspect named Mohammed set victims on fire with Molotov cocktails. Multiple victims, including children. An Egyptian man who's here on an expired visa attacked Jews in Boulder, Colorado on Sunday. A suspect is in custody after an attack on a pro-Israel demonstration in Boulder. Colorado police are responding to what they call an attack on Boulder's Pearl Street Mall that left multiple people injured. So, very sad. Authorities said the violent incident happened at 13th Street and Pearl Street on Sunday afternoon. So, earlier today. Let's see. Terror attacks burns Jewish children alive in Boulder, Colorado. Children were set on fire in targeted assault on Jewish protesters. I am so disgusted right now in the world we live in, this person says on X. Attacker was identified as Mohammed Solomon. Several children were injured in the attack. So, yet again, the age-old fight, the age-old battle between Muslims and Jews are right here on our homeland now. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Israel. And thanks a lot to the Democrat Party for allowing it all in. Anyway, that is really sad and bad news. But man, I guess I'm not really that surprised either. People are trying to stoke the hatred between those two factions, between the Muslims and the Israelis and so on. So anyway, this guy apparently didn't hurt himself, and he wasn't shot or anything, so he's in custody. So it's pretty amazing. There's some video clips here. I won't bother playing them, but you guys can check it out if you want to. It's on RT.com and then also on Gateway Pundit. Kind of both of those two different sites there for those articles. Kiev attacked military airfields in 5 Russian regions. This is the story that we mentioned at the top of the show tonight. Several aircraft were damaged. It looked like they were blown up almost. And some of the perpetrators behind the attacks are in custody. So this has to do with the drone attack and the various bombers and stuff that were blown up. So anyway, there's more here on that particular story on RT. And then I thought this one was weird. You guys have probably seen some of the famous people throughout the years. You'll see different collages. I didn't pull any up, but you've seen them probably. The collages of like all these different famous people with black eyes, and how they're, it's kind of associated with some sort of like warning or rituals or something. Well, old Elon Musk has a black eye right now. You can see it there in this picture. The tech billionaire joked that he was not anywhere near France. So he has a really good sense of humor about it. I thought it was pretty funny. But says it raised a lot of eyebrows when he appeared at a press conference, I think it was earlier today or yesterday, with Trump at the Oval Office on Friday. And what appeared to be a black eye. No, that's definitely what it was. The event was dedicated to the tech billionaire's departure from his leadership role in DOGE, task force aimed at cutting wasteful U.S. spending. Yeah, and fraud. When asked about what happened to his eye by journalists, Musk replied that he had been horsing around with his son, Little X. You've seen him before. He was the little kid riding around on his shoulders all the time. I said, go ahead and punch me in the face, and he did. Musk said, I did not really feel much at the time, and then I guess it bruises up, he said. Trump said that he did not notice Musk's black eye until it was mentioned by the journalist. Yeah, it was kind of on the other side of him. And then he said X could do it. If you knew Little X, he could do it, the president added. So Little X apparently has got quite the left hook. But it says the Tesla and SpaceX CEO also joked that he was not anywhere near France when his injury happened, in a nod to an incident earlier this week with France's First Lady, I'll put that in quotes, Brigitte Macron slapped President Emmanuel Macron in the face in front of cameras as the pair was about to exit the plane in a visit to Vietnam. So, yeah. Anyway, and then along those lines, Trump comments on Macron's wife slap. Make sure the doors remain closed, he said. So I thought that was pretty funny. U.S. president has quipped over a video showing France's First Lady shoving her husband on a plane. Yeah. She didn't really slap him. I think it was more of a push to the face. We saw it earlier. President Trump has said Emmanuel Macron is, quote, fine following an incident in which his wife, Brigitte, appeared to slap her husband aboard the plane. He just said his advice to Macron was to just make sure the doors remain closed. In other words, it's fine if your wife beats you up. Just make sure no one sees it. Pretty funny. Anyway, but being how Brigitte there is a man, then her punch could pack a pretty good wallop, I would think. Just a guess. Cultural enrichment. Third world black attacks people with a machete at the Melbourne Mall. So you can clearly see here, there's the guy. He's got the machete. The media, in order to protect this guy, the media blurs out his face. And look, they whitened his hands. They made his hands lighter. This is the actual image. And this is a white guy. And then he's got a machete. And they lightened his hands to make him look white. And they blurred out his face. This is the kind of like crazy stuff the media is doing to make sure that the cultural enrichment doesn't actually get the blame for the way it unfolds. So I thought that was pretty wild. I saw that earlier and thought I would pass that along because it's pretty blatant. And really actually fairly bad Photoshop work there. But yeah, they tried to make it appear like it was a light-skinned person doing the macheteing. Daily Mail. So yet another plane crash. Plane crash off the coast of Connecticut as 2 survivors are pulled from Long Island Sound. I feel like we have a plane crash every week that I have to report on. Small plane crash into Long Island Sound off the coast of Connecticut has emergency crews rushing to the rescue of those on board. The Piper PA-32 went down on Sunday morning just 10 minutes after it took off. Pilot was able to send his coordinates prior to the plane sinking. So it went clear in. Looking to see what happened. Aircraft crashed 6 miles from the airport and sunk into the water with its occupants suffering only minor injuries. So that's good. So the guy knew what he was doing. Plane crashes into Long Island Sound. So, yeah, another crazy plane crash. Luckily, looks like everybody lived, so that's good. But yeah, it's crazy how many there are. Thought this one was kind of interesting and worth looking at. Zuckerberg, Musk, and Sam Altman announced the end of smartphones, but Tim Cook is not playing along. 4 tech giants are moving to replace the smartphone with devices that sound straight out of science fiction. From brain chips to digital skin, the future may already be underway. But one major player is refusing to let go, meaning this guy, Tim Cook. In recent months, a quiet shift has taken shape across Silicon Valley. Some of the most powerful voices in technology are floating a vision for the future that excludes the very device that has defined the digital era for more than a decade, the smartphone. For Musk, Zuckerberg, Altman, and Gates, the next wave of innovation doesn't involve a sleeker phone, it replaces it altogether. Each of them is backing different technologies that promise to render smartphones obsolete. From brain implants to digital tattoos and augmented reality glasses, their ambitions suggest a world where humans interact with devices not through touchscreens, but directly through thought, vision, or even skin. It's a radical break from the present not everyone is ready to embrace. Neuralink's and digital tattoos founder Elon Musk is advancing the concept of brain-computer interfaces. Yeah, and then talks about how these different guys are looking at different ways to enhance the human being. But yeah, I've always kind of joked about it'll be an implant next, so I don't know. I hope not, but it might even be an injectable. They didn't mention that, but I think that is a real possibility. They have the nanotech. They can inject it. So we shall see. And then this one on Armstrong Economics. 80% of French women want the military to protect them from the migrant criminals. Sounds pretty racist to me. They don't want to be raped, I guess. But they're supposed to be, apparently. That's what the French government wants. Women across Build Back Better nations with open border policies are on high alert. The majority of migrants are single men who came from cultures vastly different from the West, with a particular disparity in how men view the opposite sex. Crime has been multiplying across these nations as unvetted unknowns fail to adjust to their new settings, which is why they're bringing them in, by the way. In France, 80% of women would like the military to protect them from migrant criminals. Yeah, good luck with that one, right? In 2021, over a third of migrants acquired French citizen, the highest on record, and now foreigners account for 10% of the entire population. Women are just afraid of these newcomers. Women are justly afraid of these newcomers. In Paris, 75% of all rapes last year, 75% were committed by foreign nationals. In other words, illegal immigrants. During the first half of 2022, for example, 48% of all arrests in Paris were foreign nationals. French President Macron acknowledged the problem. If we look at crime in Paris today, we cannot fail to see that at least half of the crime comes from people who are foreigners, either illegal immigrants or waiting for a residence permit. In any case, they're in a very delicate situation. Often coming in through these illegal immigration channels. He doesn't say illegal immigration. That was just inserted in there in this quote. There's also been an uptick in drug trafficking due to unvetted foreigners. A CSA poll found that 76% of French citizens would like the army to begin battling drug trafficking in disadvantaged neighborhoods. So, I don't think anything will change. Do you? No, not at all. That's the whole reason they're bringing them in, is to destroy the country, and they're doing a good job of it. The new eye scanning digital ID launches in 6 American cities. Want to have your retina scanned? Yeah, I didn't think so. A new biometric digital ID program has quietly taken root in 6 major U.S. cities, raising alarm bells among Americans concerned with personal liberty and digital surveillance. Under the banner of fighting AI fraud, the World ID Project, I've mentioned that multiple times on this show, backed by OpenAI's Sam Altman, is scanning people's irises in exchange for cryptocurrency and possibly their privacy. The system uses a device called the Orb. Nice. A shiny spherical scanner that captures the unique patterns of your eye. The goal? To create a digital ID that proves you're a real human being online. The project's developers claim this technology will help protect against bots and fraud. Sure. And also what? That's the good side, but then the bad side is you can be surveilled and it will cause a digital ID system to be permanently tied to your name, and you'll always be able to be tracked. So here are the cities. Launched in Atlanta, Austin, Los Angeles, Miami, Nashville, and San Francisco. The program offers $40 worth of cryptocurrency, $40 worth of cryptocurrency to anyone willing to let their eyes be scanned. So again, Atlanta, Austin, Los Angeles, Miami, Nashville, and San Francisco. That's the cities. Proponents say World ID is secure. They also insist that it is anonymous. I don't see how anybody could ever say that. According to Fox News, the data is stored on a blockchain, not a centralized database. But privacy experts are sounding the alarm. Once you've given up your biometric data, you can't get it back. That's right. Unlike a password, you can't reset your iris. That's true. I think that's the whole purpose here. And while developers insist that no actual images are stored and that the data is fragmented across institutions, some see a familiar pattern, big tech promising privacy while quietly amassing power. There's also a deeper concern here. Why are Americans being asked to trade pieces of their biological identity for digital convenience, and why now? Altman's project has already run into resistance around the world. Spain, Argentina, Kenya, and Hong Kong have all paused or investigated the system. These nations are citing invasive data collection and unclear safeguards. So good for them. It says Visa, as in Visa and MasterCard, Visa plans to issue a World ID-linked debit card. So that's coming soon. Anyway, that's on Slay News. And then we've talked a lot about Musk tonight. This is another story that's connected to him. Tesla, driverless robo-taxis coming soon, ? Yeah, that is the plan. According to reports, Tesla is nearing the launch of its driverless robo-taxi service. CEO Musk intensified speculation on Thursday. For the past several days, Tesla has been testing self-driving Model Y cars. No one is in the driver's seat on Austin public streets with no incidents. A month ahead of schedule, next month, first self-delivery from factory to customer, he said. Prior reports noted that Musk said that any such launch of the self-driving Model Y cars would start with 10 or 20 vehicles. June 12th is reportedly Tesla's internal deadline to launch the robo-taxi service in Austin. Yeah, I'm looking to see if there's other details here. Footage of Teslas driving themselves from the factory to their loading dock provides a glimpse of what self-delivery would look like. So there's a video, I guess, here, linked. Despite the ambitious June 12th rumored goal, the launch date is still subject to change. Yeah, so what I'd heard, I didn't really see a date with it before tonight reading this article, but what I'd heard was that they are going to use these cars. You know, if you're volunteering for the program, if your car qualifies or whatever, has the right technology, then your car would be used at night when you're not using it. as a robo-taxi, kind of like an Uber or a, one of those type of things. So as a taxi service, so you would make money from your car being used while you're not driving it. So you'd be at home, ostensibly having dinner or maybe asleep in bed, and your car would be out working for you. And then come back, in the middle of the night or in the morning or whatever, and park, and then be ready to go whenever you need it. That apparently is what's in the works here. So very strange. But yeah, get used to beginning to see some of these Teslas driving themselves down the road along with you and your family. I personally think that is really bad news. And I'm still not going to hesitate to call them what they really are. They're self-crashing cars, not self-driving cars. Anyway, that's on WLTreport.com. Not good news. All right, and then we've mentioned Miss Catherine Austin Fitts often here on the show. $21 trillion missing from U.S. reserves. This is where it went. This is a Catherine Austin Fitts interview video here. The $21 trillion of U.S. taxpayer funds. Where did it go? Bombshell report. So that is linked here on Forbidden Knowledge TV. So have a look at that if you're interested. Other pretty good articles on here as well. Tina Peters' message from prison, Memorial Day. Yeah, I've got an article on her pulled up as well. We'll look at that in a minute. And then this AI video that was made is kind of ridiculous and funny both. It's top AI influencer opinions on World War III. Off-the-shelf AI video has come far in just the past 9 months. So this is a video. Let me see if I can get it to play. Unfortunately, it's probably got a lot of music in it, which is trouble for a live stream, but let me see if it'll play here. Because you'll definitely get the idea of what's going on here. So what they've done here is they've created, well, there's no additional information, but I've already seen the video. What they have done here is they have created an AI video of supposed influencers that aren't real people. They're pretend people. They are just AI caricatures. And what they're supposed to be experiencing here is World War III. And this is what might happen if you have these top influencers experiencing World War III for themselves. So let's see what this is like.
A detonation has just occurred on the outer ring of the city. We'll now be going live to our top influencer opinions.
OMG, people, the world is ending. Are you seeing this? This is actually so exciting.
Yo, I know it's chaos, but you got real survivor's wife energy.
That's cool. I like them feisty.
Like, it would totally be better if we ran it, you know? Men literally destroy everything, and my girls need to stop being so soft with these basic losers. Who even needs men, right? Anything a man builds just gets destroyed by a different man.
Guys, this collapse is literally the perfect dip. I'm buying more right now.
Nukes are Sua's aesthetic today. I made this outfit. Even as the world burns, my struggle for visibility and acceptance continues. This is exactly why representation matters now more than ever.
As I keep saying on the channel, the world collapses when men stop lifting. It's not politics, it's testosterone.
Oh, yes, yes, yes. Balloon time. So yummy. Nuclear boom. So tasty. Thank you. Pop, pop, pop.
Nothing stops the daily grind. Not even a little natural disaster.
Friends, this is the breakthrough moment from chapter 7. When everything falls apart, we rebuild ourselves stronger.
My girl, you wouldn't believe what just happened.
Hi! OMG, I just totally shit my pants after that noise.
Chat, this is literally the most realistic survival game ever, and someone donate so I can buy a boat DLC before I actually drown.
So this company says their device is quote unquote indestructible, supposedly survives anything, including the literal end times.
Hey guys, remember, health is wealth. That's why I take these 7 supplements right before my cheese stuffed hot dogs.
Officials confirm outbound flights are suspended, except for government and priority class departures.
My dog has diplomatic status.
OMG, there's like a nuke or something? Can we get 5 gifted subs for surviving the blast, maybe?
Today I'm showing you how to infiltrate an executive class bunker using only social engineering and a veil.
Your nukes are so manly. You're such a big boy. Go check out the link in bio, my king.
I told you so when I said they'd shut down the grid. Look at you scrambling like rats now. The fiat system is collapsing exactly as we predicted. I just bought a bunker with doggy coin and a handshake. You losers can keep your degrees.
Remember, beautiful souls, even when the earth ends, we find our center. This is just the universe asking us to go deeper into our practice.
Day in the life, guys, girls. Even during the apocalypse, I'm staying grateful, staying blessed. Link in bio for my manifestation course that literally predicted all this.
I told you so for 20 years of it. The globalists, the deep state, your precious government K. Wake up, people. They're not coming to save you now.
Damn, you evacuate like a goddess.
So,
Bro, she smiled. That was a yes in fight or flight.
Everything is fake, including me. I'm a construct created by the Door Brothers. Anyway, here's Tom with the weather.
Okay, well, there's that. I don't know what to think about that other than that was a little crazy. But it's really not that far off either. Yeah, I just lost countless brain cells while watching this, Susan said. I know. You're welcome. No, sorry about that actually, but Forbidden Knowledge TV is where that one is. Top AI influencer opinions on World War III. Yeah, it was like part of the Dumb and Dumber movie series or something. It's almost like that. Anyway, pretty crazy. But yeah, that was all AI generated video. That's how realistic it's gotten these days. It's pretty scary, isn't it? Pretty scary stuff. All right, Leo Hohmann's Substack. Germany announces new military partnership with Ukraine. Will support ... Chancellor Merz hails the new pact as a virtual merging of the two countries' military-industrial components. Yeah, between Ukraine and Germany. So that's not good. Wine Press on Substack. Stargate. President Trump contracts Palantir to steal data and create master database on all Americans. The Trump administration has expanded Palantir's work across the federal government in recent months, something that we mentioned earlier tonight. So this is a Wine Press article about that very same thing. So feel free to look at that if you guys are interested. And then a few articles from Gateway Pundit. Shocking claim FEMA and Biden White House covered up extent of dangers to East Palestine residents following train derailment. There's Joe enjoying his ice cream cone. So we already knew this, but this is still a story that's not going to go away. The Biden administration was slow to react after the 2023 derailment of a Norfolk Southern freight train hauling carcinogenic chemicals near the small town of East Palestine, Ohio. The air was filled with plumes of dangerous gas during a controlled release burn. Despite residents reporting mysterious rashes and headaches following the massive toxic chemical explosion, as well as the death of chickens and pets, marine life, and other wildlife, the Biden-Harris administration was slow to respond. They were too busy sending money to foreign countries. Leslie Pacey, an investigator with the Government Accountability Project, told News Nation FEMA knew healthcare was the number one issue. They also knew that they called this plume a really toxic plume. They knew there would be a potential for cancer clusters. Despite the concerns, the Biden administration never released the unmet needs report to the public or the media. Then here's a video about that. So, not too surprising though, is it? And then there's this one. Joe Rogan expertly schools Bono, the U2 lead singer, after far-left singer makes up an outrageous lie regarding Musk and Doge. Musk responds with fire. One of the globalist left's most beloved figures was caught spreading a despicable lie on the nation's most popular podcast about Musk and his work with Doge, and then got promptly schooled in the process. Irish singer Bono appeared as a guest on the Joe Rogan Experience to discuss his new book and his passion for shaking down wealthy foreign governments, like the U.S., to give valuable taxpayer dollars to poorer nations. During their discussion, Bono uttered a whopper about what Doge did in slashing one of the worst government agencies of all, USAID. Here's what he said. This is a quote. "It's not proven, but surveillance suggests 300,000 people have already died from this cutoff, this hard cut of USAID," Bono alleged. "So there's food rotting in boats and warehouses. This will F you off. No American will be happy. There is 50,000 tons of food that are stored in Djibouti, South Africa, Dubai, and wait for it, Houston, Texas, that is rotting," he added, "because the people who know the codes at the warehouses are fired, they're gone." And then Bono addressing Joe Rogan, "What do you think? That's not American, is it? There is absolutely no evidence that these needed USAID cuts are responsible for any deaths in the world, but Bono has never been one to care about the truth." Thankfully, Rogan disagreed with Bono's garbage. Instead, he calmly countered with the cold hard truth. "There have been a lot of organizations that have done a tremendous amount of good all throughout the world," Rogan countered. "Also, for sure, it was a money laundering operation," which it was. "For sure, there was no oversight. For sure, billions of dollars were missing," he continued. "In fact, trillions that are unaccounted for were sent off to who knows where because there were no receipts." So, yeah, that was how Rogan responded to Bono here. And apparently there was no mention that Bono's foundation called One, that's his shakedown foundation that shakes down governments around the world, including the U.S. government, like USAID. That's where he gets lots of his money. The One Foundation literally donates 1% of all the billions of dollars. 1% goes to help those in Africa. What it's supposed to do. 1%. He pockets the rest. The guy is a career criminal. Bono is. So, man, bad news. So that is on Gateway Pundit. And then a couple more from this site. Mayhem erupts at California High School track and field championships as boy destroys his female rivals during the preliminaries. So they're still doing the boys pretending to be girls in sports here. Even after Trump's executive order. Didn't change a thing, apparently. Chaos broke out at California High School track and field championship on Friday as boy pretending to be a girl stormed ahead of his competitors with at least one person arrested. Daily Mail reported several LGBTQ activists and women's rights protesters attended the event in Clovis when at least one fight erupted while the teen athletes were competing. Unsurprisingly, the leftist was the aggressor. Shocker, I know. Fox News confirmed. Clovis Police Department said that the person arrested during the incident was an LGBTQ activist. The individual is accused of shattering a car window with a flagpole. So he took a flagpole and shattered a car window. Wow. So apparently there was some sparks flying at the old track and field competition. Very strange. All right, that one's on Gateway Pundit. And then more about the Skittle crowd. And I'm talking about the literal people who eat Skittles. Removed a dangerous ingredient linked to DNA and cellular damage following the Maha report. So all these dyes and coloring and stuff like that they put in Skittles. One of the world's most famous candies will no longer have a dangerous ingredient linked to cellular and DNA damage. Spokesperson for Mars, Wrigley, which is based in New Jersey, informed Fox News that this week that the company has removed the potentially dangerous and addictive titanium dioxide from Skittles in America. Why do you suppose it was in there to begin with? Makes it more addictive? The news comes following a report released by Maha Commission last Thursday. The commission chaired by HHS Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. addressed chronic diseases, especially those in children, and goes on to talk about all of these different dyes. The report listed several potentially concerning food additives, including titanium dioxide. It noted that titanium dioxide is widely used in a range of candies and sauces and may cause cellular and DNA damage. But oh boy, is it yummy, I guess. Anyway, despite Skittles not using titanium dioxide anymore, there are still over 4,300 candies containing the addictive additive. So, anyway, the Skittles crowd, yeah, they like their titanium dioxide. Now, this is a little bit of a sad story. You guys might remember this kid from, I don't know if you saw the, well, let's see, I guess it was right after the inauguration when Trump gave the opening speech, which would be kind of like the State of the Union, sort of, although they didn't call it that. He deputized this kid, and a little bit of a sad story here. White House releases heartbreaking update on health of honorary Secret Service agent DJ Daniel is his name. The White House has released a heartbreaking update on DJ Daniel. He's a 13-year-old boy from Houston, diagnosed with terminal brain and spine cancer in 2018. He was given 5 months to live. 7 years later, though, DJ is still with us, having undergone 13 brain surgeries. As an aspiring member of the law enforcement, DJ has been sworn in to over 1,300 law enforcement agencies across the country, including U.S. Secret Service. During Trump's address to Congress back in February, Democrats refused to clap as he was honored for his bravery. You guys might remember that story when that happened. He later met with the president in the Oval Office. We're lifting up Agent DJ Daniel in prayer after his dad shared that DJ is now facing 3 new tumors. So that's the new news. DJ is one of the strongest, bravest young men and has now been sworn into 1,351 law enforcement agencies across the country. Wow, he's going to be busy at work, huh? Agent Daniel, you are a true legend. So, but he's got 3 new brain tumors. So very sad. So maybe say a prayer for old DJ Daniel here. Pray that he can go on living with and staying with all the rest of us and not making the jump to hyperspace quite yet, because he's got lots of work to do apparently with all those different agencies that he's now working for. I thought this was kind of interesting. The dangers of being a musician. Bodies of 5 musicians found dead along the Texas border. 9 Mexican cartel members were arrested after the bodies of 5 missing Mexican musicians were found along the border on Thursday. Investigators began searching for members of the music band Grupo Fugitivo after they were kidnapped on Sunday night. So they were kidnapped. The deceased men were discovered on the Mexican side of the border just south of McAllen, Texas. According to local reports, relatives of the musicians received ransom demands before the group of men was reportedly found badly burned in the city of Reynosa in Tamaulipas. The U.S. State Department currently advises against all travel to Tamaulipas, Mexico, due to kidnappings and cartel violence, especially in the border region of Reynosa. Yeah, I can see why. Wow. Bodies of 5 musicians, members of Mexican regional music group who had gone missing, were found in the northern city of Reynosa. So that's sad. I'm not sure exactly why they got kidnapped, but they were being held for ransom. So yes, the dangers of being a gigging musician, at least along the border of Mexico and Texas. Very strange. Pope Leo, so this is a Leo Zagami article. Pope Leo the 14th and Pope Francis were close collaborators for the future papacy and the rise and control of cyber Satan, as confirmed by the late Pope's biographer. So that's a mouthful. So this is another article on Leo Zagami's website, leozagami.com. I just thought I would mention it in case you want to take a look at it. This is something we'll link to, obviously, in the Substack post, talking about the new Pope and Pope Francis working together as collaborators for the future papacy. So that was kind of odd and really not that surprising. He should know. Zagami is really good with this particular subject matter. And then this is the article I mentioned earlier on Tina Peters, so update on her. Breaking, the appellate brief for Tina Peters has been filed. See it here. It's embedded in this page right here. And it says the appellate brief was filed on Saturday. Trennis Evans shared the news on social media. Evans thanked the great Patrick Byrne and Juan O'Savin for their incredible generosity and tireless dedication. He also thanks the following for their work in putting it together. And there's a list of people here. So, Tina Peters' appellate brief filed. So hopefully this will result in her release. I don't know. Issues on appeal. Whether the district court made an error as a matter of law in denying Ms. Peters' motion to dismiss based on her claim of immunity pursuant to the Supremacy Clause and the Privileges or Immunities Clause of the U.S. Constitution. Number 2, whether the evidence was insufficient. Number 3, whether the court denied Ms. Peters' due process, and it goes on. So there's several things here with this brief. So if you want someone to pray for, I think Ms. Peters here would definitely be deserving of your prayers, because she does not need to be in jail. She was simply doing her job, and she's been jailed for quite some time here in Colorado. So anyway, that's on joehoft.com, which is a sort of a side website of the Gateway Pundit connected to that. So here's the full story here, or more details and more videos of the whole incident that happened earlier today in Boulder, Colorado, with the Molotov cocktails and this guy Mohammed somebody burning people. Mohammed Solomon in the Boulder terror attack. He was shouting pro-Palestine propaganda with a thick accent. Yeah, that would be because his name is Mohammed Solomon, probably. Just a guess. Anyway, there he is being arrested. MSNBC is lying about the Boulder attacker. They're calling him a white male. He is a Muslim immigrant. Yeah, well, that's what they do. Anyway, that's on notthebee.com. A few articles from InfoWars. This is the first video that we started the show out with tonight. NWO telegraphs July 4th bioterror attack. Special report. The National Blueprint for Biodefense 2024, released on April 17th, 2024, presents a hypothetical yet nerve-wracking, due to the precursor set by Event 201 scenario of a bioterrorist attack on July the 4th, where an unknown nation or terrorist group unleashes a genetically modified Nipah virus across U.S. cities and allied nations. This engineered pathogen, with a 40% mortality rate, kills 280,000 Americans and infects 400,000 in a single day, alongside 200,000 dead and 800,000 sickened animals. So there's the video. So that's on InfoWars. And then new study links microplastics to Alzheimer's. Exposure to microplastics may be driving the progression of Alzheimer's disease, according to a new study. Last year, another study found that samples of brain tissue contained significantly more microplastics than kidney or liver samples. Wow. Exposure to microplastics may be driving the progression of Alzheimer's disease. So, pretty wild. Not that surprising though, huh? Microplastics are everywhere. Kremlin prepared for all-out conflict with NATO. Institute for War. Sunday's major attack on Russian air bases may only serve to accelerate the possible Kremlin move toward martial law and formal declaration of all-out war in Ukraine. Hawkish Washington, D.C.-based think tank, the Institute for Study or War, had just prior to Ukraine's Sunday shock drone operation, which reportedly took out some 40 military aircraft deep inside Russian territory, issued a report saying that Putin is prepared for war with NATO if things escalate to that point. Sounds to me like they have. If you guys saw the beginning of the show. where we talked about all that. That's on InfoWars. World War III alert. Ukraine launches Russia's Pearl Harbor via AI-led drone swarm striking nuclear bombers. Yeah, I'm not sure how many people it actually killed, but it did take out a bunch of planes. But, we saw the other explosions happening that were supposedly happening in Moscow. So that one's going to probably result in some casualties, I would think. Best Buy and others start raising prices due to tariffs as Trump accelerates the fall of the U.S. dollar in favor of cryptocurrencies as he builds. And then a couple articles, just I'll briefly mention off of Israel 365 News. Rabbi Weiss at Temple Mount Caucus, our enemies destroy, so we must build. This is someone here calling for the building of the temple, the third temple. So that was kind of interesting. I won't bother reading that tonight, but you guys can if you're so inclined. There's quite a bit of talk here about that on this article, Israel365news.com. And then the other one I pulled up is time to strike in Iran. So they really want their war against Iran, don't they? No to the Islamic Republic of Iran. So, yep, Israel wants their war, and they might very well get it. But we might get the war with Russia first. I don't know. GeoWatch for this week. Smoke apocalypse and gargantuan hail. Cantaloupe-size hail keeps bombarding Texas. It's a Washington Post headline. Canada wildfires create unhealthy air for millions in the Midwest. And then dense smoke from Canadian wildfires is blowing into the U.S. Another Washington Post headline. Extreme firestorms, extreme heat, extreme hail, extreme drought, and extreme deluge. Welcome to Engineered Earth. So this is the latest installment of Global Alert News embedded in the page here. Feel free to have a listen if you missed that one. It is another excellent broadcast by Mr. Dane, and that one's dated May 31st. So that's the new broadcast on the site there, geoengineeringwatch.org. And make sure you're on the email list. If you're not already, just click this button over here in the left-hand column, and you can join the list, totally free. Always good to get that in your inbox, I would think, just to stay informed. And the scheduled weather for this week looks like there's a target on the central part of the U.S. here. What is that? Nebraska and Kansas below normal. Right around there, even Missouri and Iowa and parts of Oklahoma and South Dakota. Pretty chilly there, I guess, but near normal in the area where I am, and then pretty darn warm everywhere else. So that's a little bit different than we normally see. You usually see the hot side hot and the cool side cool with the split down the middle, but this time they're putting the target right in the center, and then everybody else gets to stay hot. So anyway, that's the Climate Prediction Center, aka scheduled weather for the coming week, I guess. June 7th through 11th is the dates on this. 7th through 11th. So we'll see how that all plays out. And then I mentioned last week, I think, King Charles was going to be in Canada delivering a speech. So I thought we'd just listen to just a little bit of it. We won't listen to the whole 8 minutes, but you can get an idea of what this is about. I felt like it wasn't really all that particularly interesting, but it's worth mentioning. So let's listen to just a little bit here.
The government is guided by its conviction that the economy is only truly strong when it serves everyone. Many Canadians are struggling to get ahead. The government is responding, reducing middle-class taxes and saving two-income families up to $840 a year. It will cut the GST on homes at or under $1 million for first-time home buyers, delivering savings of up to $50,000. And it will lower the GST on homes between $1 million and $1.5 million. The government's overarching goal, its core mission, is to build the strongest economy in the G7 That starts with creating one Canadian economy out of 13. Internal barriers to trade and labour mobility cost Canada as much as $200 billion each year. The government will introduce legislation to remove all remaining federal barriers to internal trade and labour mobility by Canada Day. To build Canada strong, the government is working closely with provinces, territories, and Indigenous peoples to identify and catalyze projects of national significance.
Okay, well, you get the idea. There's a lot of talk here about Indigenous peoples. He mentions Indigenous peoples multiple times, and I find it kind of interesting just the fact that he's sitting on a throne. I mean, I know it's a Commonwealth country, I get it, but did he bring the throne with him from the UK, or did they just have one? Probably just had one, I guess. But I thought that was kind of strange, and the new prime minister sitting there at his feet, worshiping the soon-to-be biblical Antichrist. So anyway, that's the I guess that's the speech that people were worried about, that he was going to somehow offend Donald Trump, and I don't think there was any mention of any of that, any of the tariffs or any of that stuff in the speech, from what I gather. I listened to it earlier, and didn't really get that impression, but it was pretty boring. You know, it is King Charles we're talking about here. So anyway, I thought I would mention that. And speaking of King Charles, I thought this was kind of interesting. The finals are getting ready to get started here in hockey, and the winner of the Eastern Conference, which was the Florida Panthers, who won the Stanley Cup last year. Well, this year they've already won the Eastern Conference. Now they're going to play in the Stanley Cup Finals again. They're very suspicious people, hockey players, and I thought it was interesting that they didn't want to touch the Prince of Wales trophy. Prince of Wales, as in Charles. Or at least he used to be the Prince of Wales. The Panthers don't touch the Prince of Wales trophy following Game 5 victory. Did the same last season before going on to win the Stanley Cup. So will it be good luck for the Panthers to not touch the trophy that has the Prince of Wales name attached to it? Could be. I don't know. I just thought I would point that out. And interesting that they don't touch it. But again, they're very suspicious people. They're very, I should say, they're very superstitious as far as the different things that they won't touch or do or whatever, even during games. So it's kind of funny. So I just thought I would point that out. It's pretty strange. All right, and now if you aren't already following along on X, and if you do have an account on there, please follow the Diamond Report on there. It's the Diamond RPRT, the Diamond Report on Twitter/X, whatever you want to call it. But looked like there were some questions earlier as to what X even is. It's just the new name for Twitter. That's all it is. So if some people say, follow me on X, that's what they're talking about. It's the old Twitter. So here's a few things that I retweeted recently here. Thought this one was pretty good, actually. Dear Doge, if you put Hillary Clinton's arrest on pay-per-view, you could settle the national debt. And then this guy says, I would gladly pay to watch. Can we make this happen? And then here's AJ breaking down the whole Joe Rogan and Bono thing, which we mentioned earlier. How should you talk to your friends and relatives who believe conspiracy theories? Hey, bro, you were right about everything. I'm sorry. Kind of covers it. I thought this was pretty good, too. Let's listen to Ashley Hayes here. Or at least part of it. Let's see what she has to say.
So many people today just refuse to believe that Jesus is God. And that's primarily because we don't see Jesus utter those three exact words. He does not say, I am God. However, Jesus does actually claim to be God, and Scripture very clearly tells us that he is God. The problem arises when people don't understand the context of what is written. People just want to open the Bible and cherry pick things out. So I am going to show you a few scriptures, and I'm going to prove to you that not only is Jesus God, but he actually claimed to be God. We're going to start with John 1 because it's probably one of the most popular verses to prove that Jesus is God. It says, in the beginning was the Word, Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. And then verse 14 says, the Word became flesh and made his dwelling among us. Jesus is God in the flesh. Now, this is where it gets interesting, and this is what people miss when they try to cherry pick things out of scripture instead of trying to understand the context of what is written. Now, most people have heard of John 10:30, where he says up at the top, I and the Father are one, but the weight of what he is saying is lost on most people. But here's the thing, it was not lost on the Pharisees. So if we continue reading, we'll see their reaction. Verse 31, again, his Jewish opponents picked up stones to stone him, but Jesus said to them, I have shown you many good works from the Father. For which of these do you stone me? We are not stoning you for any good work, they replied, but for blasphemy, because you, a mere man, claim to be God. The Pharisees knew that by Jesus saying, I and the Father are one, he was claiming to be God. He did not need to say, I am God. Now, the reason for this, the reason the Pharisees freaked out, is when Jesus said, I and the Father are one, that mirrors scripture that the Pharisees were familiar with, scripture that explained the identity of God. Deuteronomy 6:4, it says, Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. And again, in Zechariah 14:9, the Lord is one. So when Jesus said, I and the Father are one, he's not only asserting his deity, he's also using the same words to describe himself as scripture uses to describe the Lord. Jesus didn't need to say, I am God, because everybody during his time, even his opponents, knew that by saying, I and the Father are one, he was claiming to be God. We see this exact same thing in John 8:50.
Okay, well, that was just about half of that video, so I thought that was a pretty good explanation. Isaiah 9:6, for to us a child is born, and to us a son is given. His name shall be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. Jesus is fully man and is fully God, and is the sacrificial lamb for our sins. I thought that was pretty neat. I followed this lady on Twitter/X, and she puts out some pretty good stuff like that from time to time. And then, got some other video clips and things like that on the Diamond Report on Twitter, so please follow along there if you're not already. And then make sure you're on the Substack. Miss Emily has posted the links in chat on both YouTube and Rumble, so both platforms. And most people are on YouTube, most people watch on there, but there are a few people watching on Rumble, so hello and welcome to the Rumblers out there. Got a few people watching there, and thanks, Miss Emily, for posting the links for me. Yeah, for the band group and for the shop, and also for Subscribestar and Substack. So those are kind of the different things you can use to stay in touch with what I'm doing with the program. So diamonddisc.substack.com, this is where you can go and drop your email address in and subscribe to the show, and totally free. You can get the email updates as I send them out. And then this one is probably the best site for helping to support the show. If you want to support what I'm doing, no pressure, but it is there if you guys are willing and able to help. I certainly would appreciate it, because it's pretty much out of pocket otherwise. I've got about 10 subscribers total that are paying on Substack, and about 6 here on Subscribestar. So that's all. That's the people who are funding this operation right now. So otherwise, it's coming out of my pocket, which is, it's fine. But that's it'd be nice to share the expense and share the cost with other people. So thank you guys who are supporting the show. It really means a lot to me. It really does. And as far as Substack goes, I've got probably 250 people or 260 people or something like that on my list, and only 10 of those people are actually paying. So you hit the it's way less than the 80-20 rule, but it's just a handful of people who are helping support the show. So thank you guys for doing that. I really do appreciate that very much. And then another good way to support the show, if you want to, just a one-time type of thing, is to buy anything from the store. It's all there. It's available. It's t-shirts and hoodies and hats and mugs and all kinds of stuff. So different fun things there. That link is also in the black box up there in the upper right, shop.thediamond.report. And sometimes that URL gets blocked a little bit depending on what platform or what internet service provider you're using. So if you can't get that to work, I wouldn't be too surprised. But the full link that is shop.thediamond.report. The alternative full link is available on the Substack emails that I send out. So those are linked from there as well. So thank you guys for being here tonight. I really appreciated that very much and appreciate all your time tonight. And make sure you're following on YouTube. That's the main YouTube channel that I have is Take It to the Lord in Prayer, End Times Dates. So that is the YouTube channel. And if you're not on YouTube, if you don't really care about that, then you can follow along on one of the other platforms like Rumble or BitChute or Brighteon, any of those places as well. So there's Rumble and BitChute and Brighteon, and then it's Diamond Disc, or you can just look up the Diamond Report on any of those platforms. So thank you guys for being here tonight. The band group is also available for free. It's just a uncensored community of like-minded folks who happen to have in common this show. And we get together and talk about things on here every now and then and just trade links and look at what different people are investigating, different things that they run across during the week and post them in band, and then everybody can take a look at it and comment and whatever. But it's not censored, and it's a bit like Facebook in a way, except it's not censored. Facebook is heavily censored. So thank you guys for being here tonight. I really appreciate it. We got one more video to close out the show, and I guess we will wrap it up for this week. It is, June the 1st today, so next week will be June the 8th. Starting at 10 p.m. Central will be the next show. So we will see you guys then. Hope you guys have a blessed week this week. Keep Jesus front and center in your life. This whole war thing is really starting to look like it might be a very serious thing. So we don't know what's on the horizon next, but it's not looking too good. Not looking too good at all. So hope you guys have a blessed week this week, and definitely keep me and my family in your prayers if you don't mind. And I'll certainly keep you guys in my prayers too. So let's watch this last video together. It is called The Sabotage of Peace. So let's take a look at it, and we'll see you guys next week. Love you all.